It's Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce and Michael. I know a ghost story or two.
Yeah, you're missing the jams. There you go. You're in there now.
That's more like it. Yeah, dude, you can't get into the show unless you listen to the jams up front.
Yeah,
The jams are hot.
Some
I mean,
serious
we did
jams
see
up
you
top.
melt into the couch and get really comfortable and into it. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and tell stories of high strangeness. As always, I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me, always, is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
and our super producer.
Riley Bray.
Ooh, you got up to a super
I've gone
producer.
from trusty to super.
Yeah,
That's
I was
awesome.
thinking this weekend, I was like, you know what? He really is
Promotion.
a super producer. Super producer's got a nice ring to it.
It does.
Oh, thanks,
it
guys.
does.
By the way, speaking of super, before we bring in our guest, super producer Riley, I saw your doppelganger when I stopped to get coffee on the way here, and it freaked me the fuck out. I almost took a picture.
Really?
I should have taken a photo, but I was walking into the Starbucks, and I was like, what is Riley doing here, and why is he getting coffee? Because he knows I always bring coffee every
Weird.
session, but he was dressed like you, but like a little crazier. He had like a stocking cap on and like bright, like purple glasses, shorts.
All right, I like this.
But he looked exactly like it. Freaked me out. You have an LA doppelganger out there.
You know what's even weirder is that's the second time this week someone said that to me.
Oh,
Dude,
wow.
My drummer in my band said the same thing.
There must be a new guy in town.
There's only room in this town for one.
Well, the problem is we know from the show, if you see your doppelganger, that means you're going to die.
Yeah, the
So
universe
stay
is
away.
supposed to collapse.
Oh shit.
Oh, Jesus.
Stay away from the coffee joint.
Oh, just watch out. The coffee, I like that you call Starbucks the coffee joint.
I try and, cool it up a little bit.
Today's guest is a good friend of mine, an old friend, a really great actor. I'm like going down your IMDb, and Jesus, you've been in so much stuff. I'm just looking at shows that people who shows and films that people on who listen to this might be into. Things like Race to Witch Mountain, Z Nation, Beauty and the Beast, Rain, Scream, the TV series. Jesus, dude. And currently starring in I'm Sorry for True TV. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Tom Everett Scott.
Yay!
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Hey,
What's up?
this is sweet.
Man,
Nothing
you
much.
Busy.
I'm just busy
That's good.
all
We
the
love that.
time.
I'm glad that you're not too busy to come by here
Yeah, what are you doing
and wait
here?
for 19 minutes while Bryce decides to show up.
I read my email wrong.
You didn't read it. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
sorry
o-
about
it's o-
that.
No, it's
I was
okay.
tardy.
It's fine. Tom, how you doing, man?
I'm great, thanks. No, this is wonderful. I'm really happy to be here. I can't wait to get a coffee from your doppelganger after this. It'll be great. It'll be exciing.
It was super scary. We just found out, speaking of weird connections.
But I would still choose you, even if you look exactly like
Aw.
some other
Yeah.
guy. I would choose you.
Thanks, pal.
I thought about taking a photo of him from a distance, like in the parking lot, to make it really look like a Bigfoot photograph.
Right.
But I was like, I can't be that much of a creep. We just found out that you guys, Bryce and Tom, know each other from playing poker way back in the day.
in the day. I would say like almost 20 years ago.
It's a while. It's been
15
a
to
while.
20,
I would say like 2001
1 and 2. Yeah, that's exactly
when
right.
we moved out here and we started playing that game. But what a great backstory! We used to play
my
poker
God.
together.
Oh yeah. It was a monster Tuesday night. I looked forward to that Tuesday as soon as it
Same.
ended, and it was like it was a mess of a game, but God, it was a great time. There would be hands that would go for like, oh my God, like sometimes $200, $300, $400.
Yep, there was a
Crazy.
game I
Whoa.
think I introduced that was epically long.
Yeah.
It would go until people just died.
There were a few deaths.
Well,
There
we
was
did-
like lone survivor games.
Yeah, we did dealer's
it was
choice.
like the
so
Game of
anybody could-
Thrones of poker games. Like people, you never knew who was going to die that night. That'd be really upsetting.
Totally.
So that's how we know each other.
I played with you when we worked on Saved. We played a couple games in Vancouver, and I remember doing really well. Because
Yeah.
I'm not really, I can play like a little Texas Hold'em, but
Sure.
I'm not great at this stuff. As we learn, for those of our
we
Patreon,
should play cards with Michael.
For those Patreon listeners who heard our conspiracy theory game from last week, no, I can't count. I can't keep track of numbers at all. I don't know, but
and I cheat.
Yeah,
so.
you're a huge cheater. And I did pretty good. And then we played out here a couple times, and I remember just like, I got too high and lost like $300.
I remember that.
And I was like, I'll come again, but I'm just going to DJ if that's okay.
It was the quickest, like, I'll just DJ.
I was like, I can't afford to play.
It was fun to have you there, though.
It was great. It was good to be there.
Did you guys like
I can't
EDM?
do this. No shit. God. But anyway, well, it's good to have you in our clubhouse.
It's great to be here.
This is our Big Money Wednesday.
Yeah.
So, Tom, we like to ask all of our guests, what is your personal paranormal history?
Oh, well, I don't think I ever had any weird experiences personally until, strangely enough, Vancouver, when we were working together.
It happens when you get in my orbit, your world changes.
Is it your fault?
It might be.
Oh, okay. Well, we got to set, and it was this location, this building, that extras were being held down in the basement where the bathrooms were. I was like, where's the restroom? They were like, it's down there. So I walked through, extras holding, down to this like men's room.
Which location was this?
This was, we only used it once. And
this wasn't the old hospital.
No, because that was the clearly haunted place
good
that we
setting.
went to.
Yeah.
It was like an old mental hospital.
institution.
Yeah.
It looked like this gothic old...
Which had a vibe and a feeling to it. That place did, but this place, what I'm talking about, it was like one of those places where we played paramedics on this show, and we went to go like save somebody or whatever.
Yeah,
and they were shooting up on the 3rd floor. I went down into the basement to use the bathroom. I went into the restroom, and it was empty. You had to walk past everything, all the stalls to get to the sinks. And I went in there, and I'm in the sink, and I'm washing my hands, and in the mirror I see somebody walk in behind me, and then as I'm leaving, there's no one in there. And I was like, so someone came in here, but now they're not in here, and I didn't see them leave.
Did you hear audible sounds? Could you hear their footsteps or them open the door?
Everything was like a person walked in, should have been in there, they weren't. So then I went upstairs, and as soon as I approached set, I overheard somebody say, yeah, this place is haunted. You know,
wow.
That's the word. And like a chill went up the back of my neck, and I was like, I think I just saw it. And that's kind of my only personal experience with it. But I'll never forget it.
That's a good, like, you clearly see something and then it's gone that's a legit initiation into the world of the paranormal, I think. Or you're going crazy, but that's good. I mean,
possible. Not really. I'm not crazy.
Yeah, no, I think you're good.
All right.
That's definitely a ghost.
Now, did you grow up like believing in this stuff? Were you a skeptic?
I really did. No, I wasn't a skeptic. I think I grew up like with an imagination that was just like, come on, you know, I grew up in this small town in Massachusetts, and I wanted weird, crazy stuff to happen. You know, I needed something interesting to happen. It was a very small town. Yeah.
And you must, I mean, like Massachusetts has like the whole like Salem witch trials, all that stuff. So it feels like it's kind of hanging in the. I feel like New England in particular.
There's some ghosts there.
I mean, there's ghosts. I feel like there's ghosts. I could say the same thing about the Midwest, but I feel like the old East Coast is like extra spooky.
Well, there was a house there that they said was haunted, you know, and it was like boarded up for years. It was near the center of town. So most of those old homes, they're like from the 1600s, you know, and or 1700s is probably like 1700s.
Yeah.
And for sure, that was the haunted house in town.
Did you grow up in like the suburbs, like Stranger Things style, or were you in some of those old places?
My town, it's called East Bridgewater, and there's actually a rock in town where the Pilgrims traded the Native Americans like blankets for the land.
Oh, wow.
And it's like commemorated by a plaque and all that stuff.
I thought you were going to say there was a rock where the devil appeared.
Same thing. Same exact thing.
Exactly. No, I don't know if he did or not.
But was there any like did you ever hear the haunted house, was there any like did you have any local like cryptid tales in your hometown? Was there like this there's like a lake monster, or there's like supposed to be
No, none of that. I don't think so.
We had growing up in the Midwest, I grew up in Kansas, And there were like all these, maybe this was just in the 80s during the like late 80s and early 90s during the like height of satanic panic. But there was this place called Baines Crossing that was like out in the woods south of my neighborhood.
It's a pretty good
a few
name.
years, yeah. And everyone used to say that like all these like satanic rituals took place down at Baines Crossing, and they'd find like animal bones and stuff down there, and people would talk about like people getting murdered down there.
Ooh.
And it was super creepy.
Yeah.
And like everyone in the like all the bad kids in middle school or like all the like heavy metal rock people would always go down there to like check it out, you know?
Yeah. They want to feel it.
Yeah.
They're just bringing their old chicken bones down there. Bring any bones that you might have. Bring them down.
And I wonder, like, I mean, I just heard about this stuff through people like Dave Keith, one of my best friends who's been on the show, like through those guys, you know, through him and his brother. And it was just like rumors that went through school. But I don't know if I don't think it was ever in the newspaper. I don't know why this particular spot was so creepy and enticing, but first of all, the name Baines Crossing
that sounds pretty good.
Is like pretty metal.
Sounds legit. I mean, growing up, I was born in '70, so like as I started watching TV and stuff like the $6 Million Man, there were like Bigfoot was a big deal back then. He was kind of a character.
That was played by Andre the Giant.
It was?
Yes.
Oh wow. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. I saw that documentary. And he was in that. Yeah. So.
Oh shit.
There was like I wanted to believe in that stuff. Devil worshiping was a thing because like of music. Was like I remember my mom telling me that I could not listen to Black Sabbath because just the name of the band just was so obviously about devil worshiping and and just as a kid like those are the things that you're being shaped to like fear or be interested in or have your curiosity piqued.
Why was Bigfoot so big in the 70s? We need to devote like a whole episode of this.
70s like, Bigfoot
to the name of the podcast. That's a good idea. I'm surprised episode 1 wasn't about Bigfoot.
We should do an episode about Bigfoot at some
Funny
point.
enough, it was.
No, but like, why was that? I wonder why Bigfoot was so popular in
pop culture
at that time. Like,
remember that show In Search of, hosted by Leonard Nimoy? Okay, so
that was probably why.
I think that was one of the most famous episodes of that.
Yeah, hosted by Leonard Nimoy, and that was like the quintessential episode because they replayed the Gimlin Patterson footage, which is still some of the best videographic evidence, I think, as far as any like cryptid or paranormal.
Is that the walking and the?
Yeah, that's right. And it's the female Sasquatch with the pendulous breasts.
There we go. There it is.
Yeah, and
Bryce likes to talk about Bigfoot.
Did all your fans just drink?
Yeah.
But I only mention that because it was such a strange aspect to the sighting of the creature. Like, I mean, most people, if you think they were going to hoax something, they wouldn't add pendulous breasts.
Right.
So, but anyway,
I don't know. I think it gives it some credibility.
Yeah, I do too. I absolutely do too. And that was really what kicked off my Bigfoot thing. I was like, as far as I was concerned, I was like, I was looking and seeing something that was strange and that couldn't be explained. So
right, or like the UFO stuff that would be on that show was also interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
that stuff still. I think at the end of the day, and we're a year and some change in this podcast. I think UFOs more than anything else creep me out.
Without a doubt,
most. That scares me the most.
Well, because I think just in terms of sighting wise, even though the Bigfoot sightings have been reported in all 50 states and every province of Canada, the numbers don't even amount to the actual sightings that people see of unidentified aerial phenomena in the sky. And those, if you think about it, are just the actual reported sightings. I mean, a good majority, I would say 80 to 90% go unreported, unclaimed. And so when you think about that, the numbers go into the astronomical realms of people who are, seeing things in the sky that really can't be explained by simply stars or air balloons or,
swamp gas.
Swamp gas. Speaking of swamp gas, speaking of that kind of unexplained stuff, my brother-in-law and I were going cross-country, and we stopped off in Marfa, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the Mystery
Marfa
Lights, and we saw them.
Yeah, you saw them.
Well, there you go.
Lights. Yeah.
I was just there. I didn't see them.
You didn't see them.
No.
So
What-
tell
what'd
us a
you
little
see?
bit
There's
more.
like an
about
Did you
it.
go to that observation
Yeah,
deck?
yeah.
So we haven't actually talked yet much about the Mystery Lights, Marfa Mystery Lights. So give us the whole.
Well, it looks like, so you're looking, it's flat, the land there. It's flat. And you're looking out, and it only happens at dusk.
Mm-hmm.
And we're waiting, and then you just hear like a murmur, like you hear people go, oh yeah, there they are. And you look, and we saw, it was just like, it looked like a flashlight.
Wow.
And if it made me think, this is the biggest hoax in the world. It's
Some dude out there.
It's some dude out there with a flashlight. But
Every night.
Derek hit it.
it's Riley's doppelganger.
Yeah.
it just seems so obvious. But it moves,
Mm-hmm.
and then it divided into two.
Oh yeah.
And then it disappeared. And then we were like, whoa, well, that was pretty cool. But that obviously, that was a couple kids that they
Yeah.
pay to go out there.
Right.
And then, you read up on it, and they're like, they're like, we're not stupid. We've gone out there to investigate, and it's not someone out there.
What's out there? Is it a tree line or is it just horizon?
It's just like scrub.
Yeah.
Like bushes and
Kind of
stuff.
deserty.
Yeah,
landscape.
deserty. Yeah.
How
And
far in the distance are you seeing
You
them?
can see it's pretty flat, so you can see kind of far. What is
You can see
what's
far,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
it's just like a long, flat.
Yeah, it's a long
plane.
stretch.
Yeah.
Where are they? Are they on the horizon
Yeah,
line? or-
they're kind
Okay.
of like right.
So they're
in
far
your
away.
Vision. They seem close though.
Okay.
That's the thing. They seem close. And so we asked this guy, and we're like, that was cool. And he's like, usually they do different things. And
Yeah.
we're like, oh, he's like seen them before. This guy that we were talking to.
Wow. That's
Well,
cool.
Yeah, they could like go way up in the sky, come
Yeah.
down, or do different things, whatever.
Well, that's the thing. When you're looking at something that sort of lobs around in the air, stops, goes back another direction, moves at 90-degree angles. I mean, it kind of, you're like, well, that's not the operating under the laws of physics.
So what is it? Then they're saying it's some kind of like reflection, or they don't know.
Well, I think it's part of the anomalous phenomena that happens all throughout the country. I mean, they are quite notorious as being part of, they're not so much as UFO sightings, but the new word everybody throws around is unidentified aerial phenomena. So, but yeah, the Marfa Lights haven't been, as far as I know, they haven't been
Explained.
proven to be a hoax, or they haven't been properly explained. So they remain a mystery.
I feel like it's something natural.
Right.
It very possibly could be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that type of stuff that feels more like orb territory than like flying saucer territory that it is. But what are the glowing orbs of light? Like, what are they? Are they some sort of like natural plasma?
Transient energy.
Like, what is it?
Cool word
I mean,
time.
like, but if we were looking at this from the paranormal investigator point of view, like someone like John Keel from the 60s, 70s, like it's a lot of times he's happened in areas of like high activity for paranormal stuff. So maybe there's something about where Marfa, Texas is placed on the map. Maybe there's some ley lines running through there. Maybe there's some the veil is thinner between here and the other side.
Who knows? Orbs are notorious for being around crop circles and all types of poltergeist activity, and they're even related to the UFO phenomena. So orbs seem to be this whole separate classification of thing, and I don't know what it is, but they seem to be, everybody who describes them say they seem to be under some sort of intelligent control, not just like just some sort of natural phenomena, but they seem to, have some sort of operator behind it.
Is it
possible?
Is it an intelligence that they contain, or is it like there's like an alien sitting somewhere with a remote control? Like,
watch this.
Yeah, right.
Now I will split it in two.
Dummies.
Oh my God.
I mean, because that just feels like to me that shit sounds like fairies. You know what I mean? That sounds like fairy folklore, like
It kinda
mysterious
seems like
lights.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they are, I agree. I tend to agree that it's natural, but then again, if science can come up with an explanation for it, and it seems supernatural to us now, but it's got to be, there has to be a natural explanation for it, regardless.
Right.
Whether it's I don't know.
Did you see that quote tweeted, I was reading Whitley Strieber's second book after Communion. Are you familiar with Whitley Strieber? He wrote that seminal book in the 80s, Communion, with the picture of the gray alien on the cover. It became a New York Times bestseller. It was his abduction phenomenon.
I read it. Film, did you read it?
Yeah, I read it in while we were shooting Race to Witch Mountain because, my character was, this government guy who...
Yeah.
So I just wanted to read something.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was in a film about, it's the Disney remake of the original, but it was about aliens. And UFOs.
Right. Whoa. That's crazy.
I want to talk about that in a second. So
yeah. Well, so I read his follow-up to that book, which is called Transformations. And it basically takes place right after, where Communion leaves off. And towards the end of the book, he kind of surmises whatever the visitors are, and he called them the visitors. He didn't like using the term alien. Whatever the visitors are, I suspect that they have been responsible for much paranormal phenomena, ranging from the appearance of gods, angels, fairies, ghosts, and miraculous beings to landing of UFOs in the backyards of America. So, he wasn't the only one to sort of connect the dots. I mean, between him and Villay and Keel, they all sort of seem to think that everything, in a way, could perhaps be connected to some sort of intelligence that seemed to be operating here on planet Earth and under the guise of fairies and angels and gods and demons throughout history, and it would change through people's own subjective manner, however they were, conditioned to view these things through their culture, through their society, and this thing sort of moves through culture, and it changes and it adapts and it transforms, and today it seems to be taking on the look and the appearance of 4 feet tall gray aliens with black almond eyes.
Wow, interesting. Whitley was in the movie.
Well, I think he was. I think he did a partial. Yes, that's
cameo.
Right. Yeah, he did a little cameo.
Yeah, really fascinating stuff.
It really is.
What did you take away from that? Like
reading the book?
Yeah.
Oh man, it was just really well written. It's a good story. It's
insane.
Yeah, it kind of put some imagery in my head, so when you wake up in the middle of the night and it's dark in your room, you're like, is there someone in this room with me? And you think of his book, you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
I'm always checking for gray aliens standing near standing in the chat. Like it's the first thing I think about when I'm like wake up. I'm like, was there an alien in here? I don't like it's been that way since I was a little kid.
No,
but
his bedroom accounts are none less than terrifying. They really are.
Believe me, I have lots of terrifying bedroom accounts.
It makes me think of you looking at like a picture of an alien, like you're the last thing I think about and the first thing I think about in the morning.
Pretty much.
Oh my God.
This podcast is doing some real permanent damage to my brain for sure. It's stuff I don't know when you hear about that stuff, like we've been hitting that nail hard. This whole like it's all kind of connected,
right?
Because you don't have to go too far into research until you hit this ocean of like the high strangeness shit, where I think most people, they want to keep like, let's keep Bigfoot in the forest, let's keep UFOs in outer space, let's keep Loch Ness Monster. Like this is all separate phenomenon, but there really does seem to be some weirder.
Well, because I think what's happening is so many people in these fields, they really discount a lot of the evidence that they don't like, especially in ufology. They're like, well, a UFO landed in my backyard and they opened up the door and there was a being in there who offered to make me pancakes. This is a real case. And, so a lot of times, when people research these, they'll leave that out. They'll leave out the fact that an alien offered to make you pancakes.
Yeah, Keel talks about this in his books, and I'm reading all that stuff now, where he talks about like a lot of times the big problem about trying to research all this stuff is that, first of all, only a small percentage of these encounters get reported, especially 50 years ago, because people are just like, I don't want to sound like a crazy person. And then of the stuff that does and the stuff that makes it into papers, like Bryce says, a lot of these stranger details, specific details are omitted because the papers or people be like, well, that's a little like let's have the UFO land in the yard, but let's leave out the pancakes. No one's gonna buy. But there's so much stuff that you're just like, this is weird, but
Yeah.
this is kind of
That's
part of what it
because of
is.
the vast pancake, or
Big pancake, man.
pancake is powerful.
Are you saying there's a pancake conspiracy, Tom?
You know I am.
Flying saucers shaped like pancakes. It makes sense.
Guys, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Duh. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. So your mom was like no Black Sabbath.
Yep.
Was she pretty religious? Did you grow up pretty religious?
Every Sunday, we'd go to church. It was a Protestant faith, and it was the local church was called Union Congregational Church or something like that. And I remember my parents sang in the choir. We would go to Sunday school, and then you get confirmed in the church like around 13 years old.
Yeah, the same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
And as soon as then the next Sunday after my confirmation, I said, so now what? I don't go to confirmation, I go to Sunday school now. No, you sit in the church, you remember the church. And I was like, okay, do I have to go? And my mom was like, no, I guess not. I was like, I'm just going to stay home then.
Yeah.
Right. I want to study at home.
Yeah.
I was like,
Homework. And
that was the same for me, except my dad was a lapsed Catholic who was just probably making BLTs on a Sunday morning when we all had to go to church. And I was like, I remember both my sister and I, like 16, when she hit 16, she's like, I'm out. My mom's like, well, I can't stop you.
that's what my mom
You
said.
have a driver's
Can't stop you.
license.
Yeah, I loved that. I loved that my mom was that kind of person that was like, well, it is your choice. So
Yeah.
I was
That's
like,
great.
well, I choose
Yeah.
to sleep in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom
amen.
didn't want me to listen to Prince. She said it was X-rated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, still does.
That was a pretty good
Exactly.
Prince
Not
record.
bad.
Thank you very much.
My mom just turned off this podcast.
Oh, my God.
Well,
Remember the playing records backwards thing? That seemed to be some sort of thing. Like if you played the record.
Have you ever done
backward.
that with Zeppelin? With
No.
Stairway to Heaven.
There you go.
I almost said Highway.
You're
Stairway
supposed to
Hell.
play Pink Floyd's The Wall to Wizard of Oz or
Yeah.
something.
Oh,
right?
come on.
Is
You've
that-
never done
done
that?
that.
Dark
I've
Side
never
of the
done that,
Moon.
no.
It's like on the second
Right.
Lion
Roar of the
Roar.
Lion.
Yeah.
Let's do that tonight.
My
dude.
uncle told me to do that
Oh,
when I
really?
was like 15. He's like, smoke a little weed.
That's a cool uncle.
He is a cool uncle.
Riley, here's what you want to do, man.
When does he get out of prison?
If you
He's a
time it
dentist.
perfectly, when Dorothy opens the door and it goes from black and white to color, is supposedly if you time it perfectly, there's a specific song that starts
Yeah.
right on that
Wild.
moment.
I gotta remember.
I
Which
can't
one it
remember
is.
which
That'd be
one
a
it
good
is.
movie
But
night.
yeah,
Somebody
works.
listening right now is screaming.
Screaming.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
every
right.
episode. Just people just screaming in their
That's
cars.
a trip, man.
This is a
You gotta
podcast
come
for
over and do
angry
some
people.
dark side.
Yeah, I got to do some dark
Dude,
side.
we should do it for Bigfoot Movie Club. Let's just do.
Let's do it.
Dark Side of the Moon.
I remember playing backwards the Beatles song that they recorded it backwards, so you play it so that you get it full. Yeah,
Oh, man.
That
Well,
I
they were
remember
ahead of
listening to.
their time.
They were.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom, loved my mom, sweet lady, but yeah, she was definitely like fearful of, things like that, like that Black Sabbath or
Yeah.
what was another one that was like,
Metallica, Megadeth.
yeah, anything like that. She was just like, no,
Yeah,
no, you're not
no.
going to be listening to that.
Yeah.
No. And I was like, oh, I got to listen to that.
I remember
It just makes it cooler.
I remember this kid in 8th grade. He had like long blonde hair and he wore like this Metallica shirt. And I remember just feeling fear. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what a Metallica was, but I was like, I knew that it was like represented something scary and unknown.
It was like
Yeah.
if you encountered Venom in real life. You're like, oh, this guy's clearly a bad guy.
Right, totally.
He's dressed in black. I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies. I remember one time like watching there was like something like on the news. There was like this is the dissection of like horror films on kids, and I was like watching it like sort of academically, and I was like, Mom, I just watched a really interesting segment on horror films and how it affects kids. She goes, well, you're still not watching it. And I was like, I was too scared to do it anyway.
And clearly couldn't outsmart your mom.
I know, this is very true. Okay, now it's time for a game we like to call Bullshit or Believe It.
Yay.
Rapid fire.
Okay.
And what we do is I go down a list of things, and you're going to say, believe
I
it,
like it.
if you believe in it, bullshit if you don't.
Okay.
On your mark. Get set. Ghosts.
Believe in it.
UFOs.
Believe in it.
Bigfoot.
Don't believe in it. Bullshit. What do I say? Bullshit?
Bullshit.
Sorry. Bullshit.
Bullshit or believe it.
Got it.
You can cut in out of that.
He's got it.
Now I got it.
All right? Okay.
We'll see.
I thought you were an actor who knew how to take direction. Here we go. Angels.
Bullshit.
Gnomes.
Bullshit.
Fairies.
Bullshit.
Unicorns.
Bullshit.
Loch Ness Monster.
Bullshit.
Alien greys.
Alien what?
Greys, the gray-skinned aliens. Like the one on the ones in Communion.
Bullshit.
Parallel universes.
Believe it.
Shapeshifters.
Bullshit.
Mermaids.
Bullshit.
Heaven.
Heaven? Bullshit.
Hell.
Bullshit.
Dragons.
Bullshit.
Yeti.
Bullshit.
Elves.
Bullshit.
ESP.
Believe it.
Chupacabra.
Bullshit.
Demons.
Bullshit.
Atlantis.
Bullshit.
Life on other planets.
Believe it.
World peace.
I want to believe it.
Peace in the multiverse.
Believe it. That's like, really.
Well, I'm glad I brought in a ghost story today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ESP, you have no evidence of. Is there anything you've experienced that makes you think ESP is real?
No. No. I just think it would be cool to have it. So maybe I just want to believe that it's
That's
real.
cool.
Totally.
Well, we all want to be X-Men.
I was going to say there's some great scientific data that backs up stuff like ESP and remote viewing done by the CIA and guys like Russell Targ.
And we all should believe the CIA.
No, but if you start to like research some of their remote viewing experiments, they are uncanny in their ability to like corroborate people who go into these remote viewing sessions and what people see like in far off places. I mean, it is wild.
Did you ever read John Ronson's The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Yeah, no,
I think
haven't
there's a
read
lot
it.
of the stuff in that.
I've seen the film.
I've read a bunch of his other books. I need to read that one.
Yeah, but
This is what I think. I think that the brain is just vastly more powerful than we give it, than we really understand. I mean, we know that it's powerful, but we have no idea what it's capable of doing. It's this brilliant thing. And what happens is it starts working without us really knowing it. And when people say things to you like, I just have a good feeling about this and thing, I really, we all know people who have predicted stuff or they've just had a feeling and da-da-da, and you're like, you probably even have friends who are like, no, I know stuff, right? They'll tell you the sex of your child before it's born and all this stuff. To a degree, I think our brains are super tuned in, and every once in a while, they do make quote-unquote predictions, just based on just tons of just odds. And
think about all this, and subliminal information that we're getting that we may not.
Totally.
Also, like, how many times do we have emotional, like, you talk about trusting your gut. There's times where a person can walk into a room and you can just sense emotionally where they're at. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can be like, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? And that's not being psychic. That's just being tuned in. But I think what you're
sometimes
saying,
you do feel psychic, where you're like, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen.
Right.
Specifically that, and it did. What the hell?
Right. So I'm thinking, I'm trying to back you up and be like, maybe your brain has that sensory perception the way that sometimes your like heart or your gut kind of feels like, oh, someone's not, your brain's tuning into that stuff too.
I don't feel like I have that a ton. But every once in a while, it's happened to me where I feel like I saw something coming, and it did. And it wasn't just like a real obvious thing. It was like a really specific thing. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
sure.
More so than a predictive quality. People seem to some of these great seers and prophets, like take, for example, Nostradamus, they seem to be able to tap into some sort of field that they can actually see dates and places and, specific events that one couldn't just, chalk up to a mere guessing.
Right.
It does leave one to wonder, like, are they seeing some sort of elapsed time that's already taken place? Are they able to see into some other dimension where the future is really, the future and the past don't exist. Everything really is just the present moment, and maybe as opposed to extending like a river backwards and forwards, it really just takes place along a singularity that one can kind of tap into, per se. I don't know, but it's definitely interesting.
It's definitely possible, and it's definitely possible that individuals, because we're all completely different, that there are probably certain individuals who just have heightened senses and can probably figure this stuff out.
Yeah, like some people can kick a football, some people can see the future.
Yeah, well, he got hopped up on nutmeg to do it.
Most people can kick a football.
I can't.
You mean kick it well? Or kick it?
I mean, like, get paid to kick a football.
Well, there's only a few.
The greatest job ever.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a football kicker.
But when you have a bad day, it's a bad day.
Yeah.
That really... Yeah.
That's true. If you lose the Super Bowl because you missed the
It's
kick.
literally like when they invented the expression, you have one job.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's time for High Strangeness.
Yay.
We recorded one just in his den sharing a mic. And the week after that, I came here to do a podcast that Amazon had hired Jen Kirkman to do. Mm-hmm. And I walked in here and I met Riley and I looked around and I was like, hey, do you do podcasts? He's like, no, man, but I want to. And I was like, well, I got a podcast to pitch you. And he's like, dude, let's do it. So it just kind of came together.
The rest is history.
That's pretty genius.
And he fit right in like a puzzle piece because he's been abducted and he's into the occult. And...
He's done a lot.
Really? That was very casual the way you hang loose to being abducted.
Well, I've said that. We still have to get him regressed, but it's very likely.
It was a casual abduction.
Got it. It was
He
like,
just hitchhiked.
it was just bros getting abducted.
That'd be a good series.
Totally.
Bros getting abducted.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, today, Bryce, you brought something in for us. What do you got?
I did. So I want to do something new and fun. Tom, I'm going to give you some lines.
Oh, great.
We get dialogue.
Yeah.
I'm a little rusty.
No, you'll be great. You'll just feel out the...
Do you need to go outside, look it over for 5 minutes, and come back in when you're ready?
No, you're going to be great.
I want to read it cold.
Yeah, read it cold and, just feel out the tone of the piece. And when I point to you, you'll do number 1, and then point again, you'll do number 2, and that's how we'll work.
You're going to make him shit and piss here?
Yeah.
Pooping and peeing.
Oh, my God. That really got me.
So it's that kind of scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man. Poo and pee. Still the best.
Comedy gold.
Oh, man. All right.
Well, at least you didn't say Dick Shaver again.
Yeah.
So that's good.
You did.
That's a real guy. All right. The oceans holds many mysteries, and maritime history is full of tales of ghost ships like the Flying Dutchman and Mary Celeste, as well as tales of sea serpents.
Dutch oven.
And the Dutch oven. As well as tales of sea serpents, mermaids, and mermen with rock-hard abs. And while
Someone saw Aquaman over the weekend.
And while salty sailors have a way of embellishing their tales of high-sea strangeness, this story I'm about to tell might even make Aquaman think twice before asking permission to come aboard. In June of 1947, ships traveling in the Strait of Malacca, located between the coasts of Sumatra and Malaysia, received a shocking SOS message from a Dutch ship called the SS Ourang Medan. After a series of SOSs were hailed in Morse code through the telegraph, a dire message was picked up as follows.
All officers, including captain, are dead lying in chart room and bridge. Possible whole crew dead.
This communication was followed by a burst of indecipherables, but what came next was as clear as it was ominous.
I die.
This cryptic proclamation was followed by a tomb-like silence. Nothing else was transmitted after this chilling conclusion. 2 ships, both American, picked up the messages and felt compelled to investigate. With the help of British and Dutch listening posts, the coordinates of the vessel thought to be transmitting were triangulated. It was the Dutch freighter SS Ourang Medan. An American merchant ship, the Silver Star, was sent the coordinates. Given the content of the distress calls, the captain of the Silver Star wasted no time in navigating to the new heading. Several hours later, the lookout on board the Silver Star spotted the stricken Ourang Medan floating aimlessly in the calm waters of an eerie sea. Yet even as the rescue ship pulled alongside, no signs of life could be seen visually. As the merchant craft neared the ill-omened vessel, the crew noticed that there was no sign of life on the deck. The Americans attempted to hail the Dutch crew to no avail. That's when the captain of the Silver Star decided to assemble a boarding party. As they left the safe haven of the Silver Star, these unfortunate souls had no idea that they were about to walk into a living nightmare. The moment that the search party boarded, it was obvious that the messages were horribly accurate. The decks of the Ourang Medan were littered with the corpses of the Dutch crew. The victims were found with wide-eyed horror and their faces twisted into sheer terror, mouths agape, and arms trying to fight off something. Not even the ship's dog escaped the terror of whatever had taken place. The canine was discovered to be in mid-growl, snarling at the mysterious attacker. The captain was found, as one might have expected, on his bridge. The remainder of the bridge officers were found in the wheelhouse and chart room. Even stranger, the radio operator who presumably sent the distress call was found at his station, finger on the telegraph. The engineering crew was also found at their stations with precisely the same expressions on their face. During the search efforts, the rescue party noticed several things that struck them as odd or strange. The local temperature outside was in excess of 100 degrees, but members of the search team felt an ominous chill emanating from inside the ship. Another oddity was the conditions of the victims. All of them had suffered, but none had any injuries to note of. They also seemed to be decaying quicker than they should be. The ship itself didn't appear to have suffered any damage. When the search party returned to the Silver Star, the decision to tow the Ourang Medan for salvage was quickly taken. It was only when the ships were tethered together that smoke was discovered below deck, specifically the number 4 cargo hold. Within seconds of the tow rope being severed, the Ourang Medan exploded with enough force to lift out of the water before sinking to the seabed. One might guess with a sigh of relief from the crew of the Silver Star. The first official mention of the incident was made by the United States Coast Guard in May of 1952. In addition to the witness testimony of the state of the crew themselves, the published account added that they were all found with
their frozen faces upturned to the sun, staring as if in fear. The mouths were gaping open and the eyes staring.
Creepy. One of the arguments cited...
Yes, it is creepy.
One of the arguments cited against
Captain Obvious is commanding this ship.
Ever taking place was the registry of the Ourang Medan. Officially speaking, it appears as though it never actually existed, although the Silver Star was a real vessel. However, but at the time the Ourang Medan was supposed to have been floundering, the Silver Star was operating under another registration, the Santa Juana. The Grace Line Shipping Company had bought rights to the ship and renamed it. In contrast, those that believe in the Ourang Medan story insist the ship was registered in Sumatra. At the time, Sumatra was a Dutch colony that formed part of what was known as the Dutch East Indies in Indonesia. Ourang means man, and Medan is the largest city of the island of Sumatra. Hence the registered name, Ourang Medan, literally means man from Medan. However, there was a mysterious book that showed up.
Also sounds like a 1980s like pop hit, early like hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
song.
Man from Medan.
Yeah.
Man from Medan. Now, there was a professor, Theodor Seisdorfer, in Essen in Germany, who spent much of the last 50 years researching the story of the Ourang Medan. Seisdorfer was the first to mention the names of the American ships that originally went in pursuit of the Ourang Medan, and refers anyone interested in their own research to a German booklet written in 1954. The author of this publication was a man called Otto Mielke, and seemingly knew a lot about the mysterious ship. Not just the route, but the cargo it carried and the name of the captain. The book was called Das Tostiften des Stusti, which simply translated means...
Are you sure about that?
Pretty good.
The Death Ship of the South Seas, and was established the date as June 1947, and is often rumored to have been authenticated by crewmen aboard the Silver Star. It was also this booklet that mentioned the cargo hold and what might have been stored inside. According to this booklet, the cargo holds contained potassium cyanide and nitroglycerin. If this is actually true, then it could explain why there are no official records anywhere. Certainly, having these combustible items on a rough sea is tantamount to negligence of the most severe kind. It could also explain the subsequent explosion shortly after the salvage attempt was made. Now, there are those who speculated that the ship was actually carrying a far more sinister and altogether more dangerous cargo. Biological weapons manufactured by Japanese scientists as the result of insidious experiments that even the Nazi regime would balk at could well have been smuggled out of Japan. Known as... Oh, I missed my pages in order. Known as Unit 731... Michael, don't roll your eyes. The
good.
Den of Cannibals was designated as a secret cabal of scientists meant to create the most dangerous chemical and biological weapons to help establish Japanese supremacy. Unit 731 was formed sometime in 1932 by a Japanese bacteriologist called Shiro Ishii, who conducted terrible experiments during the Second World War that even I shudder to mention here? Is it feasible that Unit 731 was smuggled on a nondescript merchant vessel with a foreign crew to avoid drawing unwanted attention to what was taking place? If so, what went horribly wrong? And while many skeptics still disbelieve the case of the Ourang Medan, if the ship was in fact carrying secret and dangerous materials, it would have certainly been prudent to keep its name off of official records. Now, maybe there's a more paranormal explanation. In 1953, Frank Edwards and Robert V. Hulse retold the basics of the legend for Fate magazine in his 1955 book, The Case for the UFO. Astronomer, author, and noted Philadelphia experiment researcher Morris K. Jessup hypothesized that the crew of the Ourang Medan may have been attacked by extraterrestrials for reasons unknown. This vibes with me. Other Fortean enthusiasts have theorized that the unlucky Dutch crew may have had a run-in with vengeful wraiths of the sea or a ghost ship full of surly, undead pirates.
That's probably it.
The dubious proof.
Ghost pirates.
When in doubt.
When in doubt. Which supporters of the paranormal option used to confirm their theories, the evidence of a lack of natural cause for the deaths, as well as the purportedly petrified expressions etched onto the faces of the doomed sailors. Add to this the unnatural chill in the cargo hold and the assertion that some of the deceased sailors were reaching up towards the perhaps non-corporal assailants, leaving one to wonder if the crew of the SS Ourang Medan had been scared to death. Perhaps most curious of all, however, was that the ship was mentioned in a private letter years later by C.H. Mark, the assistant to the director of the CIA. The letter, which was declassified by the CIA only recently, was addressed to an unknown individual whose name remained redacted and is dated December 5th, 1959. In the letter, Mark explains the events from the grisly discovery of the crew to the mysterious explosion followed by the statement.
Also in AD...
Oh wait, one right before that.
I feel sure that the SS Ourang Medan tragedy holds the answers to many of these airplane accidents and unsolved mysteries of the sea.
That's right. Mark also goes on to highlight what he called alarming passages in Old English chronicles and talks about the sightings of huge fiery spheres rising from or disappearing into the sea by ship captains and crews that he states comes from within our planet. He then goes on to mention the strange aberration of things like ships spotted in the skies over Italy, adding,
also in AD 1067, people saw a fire that flamed and burned fiercely in the sky. It came near the earth and for a little time brilliantly lit it up. Afterwards, it revolved, ascended on high, then descended into the sea. In several places, it burned woods and plains.
Most chilling of all, however, is the question Mark poses to the unknown recipient.
Do you think something from the unknown is involved?
At the end of the letter, he then asks the enchanting sea,
what terrifying secret does it hold? I feel sure that the SS Ourang Medan tragedy also holds the answer to this secret.
That's right. Great job, by the way, Tom.
I mean, put that on my reel.
So what exactly did Mark mean by something from the unknown being involved? What secret was he referring to? And why did he place both in quotation marks? Why was the assistant to the director of the CIA concerned by a simple ghost ship story? And who was this mysterious recipient the CIA kept classified? If the Ourang Medan was nothing more than a tall sea tale, then why was the most powerful intelligence agency in the world interested in the story? We're going to ask our guest, Sir Tom Everett Scott. What the hell was that?
I don't think he's earned that title.
Did I just get knighted?
You
just got knighted.
I just thought it sounded better.
It sounds great.
I do like it. It does have a nice ring.
It does have a nice ring. What the hell was that?
I don't know. That's the interesting part of it, right? Is that letter?
Yeah, the CIA.
Being so interested in this one thing.
That letter's a real document.
It is. I found it on their CIA website.
You did?
I did.
If that's a real CIA website.
Yeah.
Who was in
CIA.com.
Who was president in 1959?
That's a great question.
Was it Eisenhower?
Hoover?
I think that's
No,
Eisenhower.
Hoover was never president.
Hoover?
Never mind. He was.
Herbert Hoover was president,
was
but
he?
it wasn't
Yeah.
in 1959.
Truman. I would think Truman was.
No, it was Eisenhower. In 59.
Eisenhower,
Yeah.
59?
I think so. Somewhere like that.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, that's
It's
the story of the
interesting.
SS Ourang Medan.
Yeah, he was president in 1959.
So that is like a. First of all, it reminded me of a Scooby-Doo episode.
Totally. Yeah.
I just don't like all the like frozen in fear face stuff. That stuff's scary.
Yeah, well, that
I
was
was
the
thinking
thing.
like radiation or chemical, something that may
Yeah.
have contorted the muscles in everyone's faces to be like, "Rah," you know.
That's that other explanation of the Japanese bacteriologist Shiro Itso.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but I definitely this made me feel like maybe there was some kind of
Weapon on board.
chemical weapon or some radiation thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's strange
If it's
though
true,
is-
I mean, because there's also the idea that maybe none of this ever happened, but if the CIA documents are real, then
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's
Scary
not,
as
the ship
F.
isn't found in the Lloyd's ship of registry, but that would make sense if they were carrying some sort of biological weapon that that went against the Geneva Convention's treaty. So I mean, obviously, if they were operating under some kind of
I don't like this story. I got to tell you.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's strange. And then the Coast Guard in their
Freaky.
pamphlet reveals that they were all facing towards the sun,
I don't
which
like
is a
that part.
strange thing. I mean, there was nobody lying on their stomach or on their side. It was just everybody was,
I don't like that.
You
at
know?
all. No.
Maybe
very
something
strange.
made them all hallucinate, and
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe something, and then it paralyzed them.
yeah.
I mean, it could
Yeah,
have
it
been.
feels like a nerve agent.
It
of
could have
some
Yeah,
been.
it's
kind.
like the weapon itself that killed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did make me think when you're telling the story, and that it's mentioned in that letter, the idea of like maybe there is, or maybe it wasn't the letter, but in your presentation that maybe there's just like certain parts of the ocean you go through and it's just haunted, and there's like a ocean fucking spirit that's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
fuck you guys up.
Well, between that Strait of Malacca, that's one of the busiest shipping passages in the world, and they say that an average of 3 ships go down almost every couple years. So,
yeah, I like the
it's pretty-
implication that some of these mysterious disappearances of ships and all this stuff, that there might be some phenomenon that maybe this was an evidence of like, hey, you guys happened to catch this before it disappeared for good. Those radio messages are so freaky, dude.
Yeah.
I don't like this story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great story. You did a great job. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, it's a little creepy.
That's something that I definitely wouldn't rule out. Going back to the believe it or bullshit game, is like big ass things in the ocean that are, you know what I mean? Have we seen everything that's down there?
No. I've often said that we've explored more surface area of the moon's surface than the depths of the ocean floors, which is crazy to think about. But
I don't like it.
yeah,
Whew. Well, Tom, thank you so much for being on the show today.
My pleasure.
It
Thanks
was
for
so
having
great
me.
having
Yeah,
you
man,
here.
that was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have, and Bryce, great job, and Riley, as always, fantastic job on the music.
Thanks, guys.
Michael, sweet. You did a really good job
I was
too.
just listening. I didn't interrupt as much as I
You
liked
did a
to.
really good job
I did
of
a good
not
job of not
interrupting.
interrupting. Okay, I'm trying to turn a new leaf. There's a couple times I wanted to say some things, and I didn't. So-
good for you.
Tom,
You shouldn't hold that in. You should not hold that in.
That's what Bryce is about to say to you before he commands you to go 1 or 2. Where can people find you on social media? Do you have anything coming up you want to plug? Anything for the listeners at home?
Sure. So you can find me on Twitter at Tom E. Scott or on Instagram at the Tom Everett Scott. And I'm on a show called I'm Sorry, which is on True TV. Second season's airing now on Wednesday nights. The whole first season's on Netflix, though.
It's great. I love it.
Awesome.
You're very funny in it. It's
Thank
a great
you.
show. Very funny show.
Thank you.
Check it out.
Definitely
Yes.
check it out.
Yes, you would love it.
Bryce, you love it.
It really fits into the dad in Hollywood, mom, dad, Hollywood kind of vibe with the kid.
Oh,
you know what I
great.
mean? What's your daughter, like 8 or 9 years
Yeah,
old? And
yeah.
like you're gonna be like, Oh my God, I've lived this.
Oh my God, I got to check it out.
Yeah. So
Great.
I'm sorry, very funny. Andrea Savage wrote it and stars in it and directs it and produces it. And she's a genius. So
starring you, sir,
Awesome.
Tom Everett
riding
Scott.
on her coattails.
Yeah.
Great.
Check
it out.
Awesome. We have a big announcement to make. Guys, we're doing 2019. We're doing our very first live show.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we can announce this,
June
huh?
2nd, Saturday at Contact in the Desert in Indian Wells. It's a huge UFO weekend.
The biggest.
It says it's the Woodstock of UFO
It is,
conferences.
and we
on the flyer.
somehow stumbled into doing a live podcast for an audience of who knows how many, probably at least hopefully more than 5.
Totally.
It will be at 2 p.m. June 2nd at Contact in the Desert. We'll be in the Enterprise Room. So if you're coming, get your tickets and make sure that you come see our panel. We will have an as of yet unannounced special guest who will be joining us. But we're super excited to put together a show for you guys. It'll be our first live show.
It's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
That'll be great.
Congrats.
So yeah, and in the meantime, follow us on all the social medias, and please check out iTunes, rate and review us, please. And if you want to support the show, go to patreon.com. And that's great. Guys, I love this. Thank you for coming. John,
Seriously,
it's been
thanks,
so good
John.
to see you
Dude,
again.
so good.
Great to see you guys.
Until next week, I don't know.
Later.
Don't answer any distress calls in the ocean.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray. Our theme song is Come Alone by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. If you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes. It really helps get the podcast to more listeners. To support the show, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club and unlock multiple reward episodes every month.